Hi Papercrafters, welcome to another Design with Joe video. I'm Joanne Rogers, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing with you in mind since 1999. Today's video is an edited version of a live recording. Enjoy! What we're doing today is the 10th episode. It's amazing that we're already up to number 10, but the 10th episode of Case the Cattie. And Case the Cattie, Case stands for Copy and Share Everything. And it's perfect for us paper crafters because anytime we see a card or a box or a 3D item or anything on the internet that someone else has made, or in the catalog, like I'm going to be doing today, we can take it apart and we can learn how to make it so that we can make it our own. What I do with my Case the Catties is on the day before, I put a post on our Facebook business page, and in that post I will put a picture, and it's a page out of the Stampin' Up! Catalog, and it is a page that will have usually 4 or 5 samples on it. And what I would like you to do is put a comment when I put that post up, and it's not my card, it's not a picture of me, it's just a picture of that page, and I ask you, what one do you think I'm going to be making? And then when you put a comment about which one you think I'm going to be making, up until 10 o'clock the next day, which is the day I go live, I will put everybody's name in for the card that I am going to make. And so it's a great way to possibly get a card, and that's free, and I will mail it to you. You just need to let me know your address, because in some cases I don't know your address, and I will send it anywhere. So this is the page out of the catalog. And there are 4 samples on here, and the stamp set that's on here I do have, and it is a wonderful stamp set, and I really am enjoying it. But we're not going to use that stamp set, and we're not going to make a card that looks exact to any one of those 4. So what we are going to use, though, is I'm going to show you what we're going to use for paper. Okay, so the paper that we're going to use is going to be Bermuda Bay, and my piece of Bermuda Bay is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I'm just going to give that a little crisping up because I can see it's not got a real crisp fold there. So what I do is I just hold it together so I've got all 4 corners. That's not 4 corners, all 2 corners together. And then I just sort of line it up on a harder surface and then run my bone folder along it. So this is one of the must-have tools as a paper crafter, is a bone folder. Okay, and mine is getting, you can see it's getting a little bit, it actually gets a little bit warped, and that's okay, it still works fine. So we have a piece of Bermuda Bay that size. And then we also have a piece that is a scrap. So this is just a scrap, but your scrap wants to be at least 2 inches tall, okay? Probably 2 inches tall, and I would say 3 inches wide. Mine's a little bit bigger. And then, well, you know what? When you're making the card, you're going to see what I'm making, and you might need even a bigger piece than that, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. And then we have a little tiny piece that's going to be for our words. Now, if you're taking a look at that picture, there's 3 that have fairly small pieces, so you're not necessarily sure which one we're making yet. This piece is only 3/4 by 2. And that's to fit the greeting that I've chosen. Your greeting may be a lot longer or a bit taller, so you need to cut yours to be whatever works for you. So that's our Bermuda Bay. And then we have a piece of our basic white, and this is 3.5 by 5 3/8. So 3.5 this way, 5 3/8. And then I have a piece of vellum. And so we're going to use the vellum in a little different way. And this piece as well just needs to be 2 inches tall and can be as long as you want. And you'll see how I'm going to use that. We're going to start with this piece right here, which is our basic white. And the set and the punch that I'm going to work with is the Dragonfly Garden and the Dragonfly Builder Punch, or Dragonflies. Actually, it's not a Builder Punch. And so there are 2 Dragonflies on here. This one fits 2 of the stamps in the set, and the wings are just a little bit different on either one of these, and we're going to use both of them today. It's a great set because it's got this lovely flower too, and on my blog I've got just a very simple card, black and white with white embossing, done with this one. And so you can go ahead and find that. And whenever you're searching for something on my blog, if you just type in Dragonfly Garden, then you should be able to find the cards, any cards that I make with this stamp set. Okay, or this punch. You can put Dragonflies Punch in as well. Okay, so we're going to use that and our piece of white. I'm going to pull in some colors. So I have Pool Party, I have Highland Heather, and I have Bermuda Bay. Okay, I'll just open it. I've got some of the older style stamp pads and newer style. And there's nothing wrong with these ones. They just open a little bit differently. So I've pulled this one out and this one out. And then I've also pulled out You Are an Inspiration and this guy right here. So I'll just put that to the side. Okay, so we are going to go for these guys right now. Now, you need a piece of scratch paper, okay, and it's really important here. So I'm going to keep them in the same color. So this one I'm just going to put in the Pool Party. This one I'm going to put in the Highland Heather, and we're going to leave that guy aside. We're not going to use that right now. Okay, so we're going to stamp off on this one. So I'm going to ink it up. I'm going to stamp it off at least once. Give it a really firm stamping off, and then put it somewhere right on your card. Okay, and I'm going to do that a few times. And each time you stamp, you want to move that stamp around. Okay, so this time he's going to be going upside down. Maybe come in right here. Okay, so now he's going in all different directions. So I'm going to go now to my Highland Heather. Again, same thing. You're going to stamp off really firmly. Let's see if I can fit it in there. Did I give enough room? I did. So I'm going to fit it right in there. You do want to fit as much in here as you can. Let's see if that guy can go this way. I think he can. You don't want to have too many white spaces. Okay, so I'm going to also come over here, put this guy in that way, I think, just so that his wings are coming in. And then maybe here, just his tail coming in. So it's what you're doing is you're basically creating your own designer series paper here, but we are just creating a background. So again, make sure that you stamp off. Oh, I think I want something different. You stamp off, no, I want the tail end, there we go. Each time, because you want this to be just a little bit lighter. I'm gonna go one more up here and just have his nose peeking in. Okay, so we are done that, and I'm going to clean off my stamps now. I'm gonna put this to the side, clean off my stamps because we're gonna go into a different color. I'm going to pull in this little piece of it's not Highland Heather, of Bermuda Bay, and I'm going to ink up my words, and I'm going to try and get them as straight as possible. Now, because that's all going onto my piece, if I go here, I know that it's fairly, well, not anymore, straight, and I also think that my words are pretty straight. I'm trying so that my head is not in the camera, so there we go. Not too bad. I'm happy with that. We'll just let that dry for a moment. So what do we need to do now is I'm taking some StazOn and I'm going to take our piece of vellum. Okay, so the piece of vellum and our StazOn ink. And why I'm using StazOn ink is that it will dry. This is almost like a piece of plastic. And so if I were to use my classic inks, which are what these are, on top of it, then it would not dry. So I'm going to stamp 2 of these. Okay, so if you have a bigger stamp, you can do what I did and go across, but sometimes you end up missing it. So you take your stamp pad and put it on top of your stamp that way, and stamp it straight down and lift straight up. Now this will be wet, okay, so try not to move it around at all. And you're going to do the same thing. I'm going to do the other one as well. And move that over just a little bit. So just make sure that you actually are on the vellum, because it's sort of hard to see because of the paper in behind it. So I'm going to clean that off. And I'm going to clean as well. So you can just use your simple chamois for your StazOn. So it will take it off if you get it right away. But there is a StazOn cleaner, and mine is really old. And so I don't think it looks like this in our catalog anymore, but this will last you a long time. So it has a little bit of foam on the top, and you just pat it and it'll get it really wet. Okay, so your stamp will end up looking really wet. But what it will do, and you can put this right on your chamois too, or if you want, you can take a wet one and you can just wipe it off, and it will get that StazOn, because your StazOn is a permanent ink. So it will actually get on there and it will permanently discolor it and turn it black. So this way you clean it off. So it's important to clean those off right away. There's a cool little stamp in that set that people wonder what it is. Okay, so it is here and it fits both sides of the wings of the dragonfly. So, but you can't put it on here right away because that's plastic, and maybe you can see the shine on there. It is still wet. So you need to pull in your heat tool, and the Stampin' Up! One has 2 levels of heat, a 1 and a 2, and we're going to put it on number 1. It's not very loud, but it's not super hot either. So it will, if you had a one at home that was really, really hot, you can warp this vellum, and you really want to avoid doing that if you can. So I'm just going to hold this until I see that I don't have very much shine left. And then I'm going to show you one other last little step that you can take just to make sure it's dry. So turn that around and do the other one. So how these dragonflies are different, if you can see that the lines are different in the wings, but also the body is different. So the body on one is black, on the body on the other one is open, is clear, shall we say. Okay, so even if that's not completely dry, I'm just going to guarantee that it is dry. We're going to take it, turn it upside down, make sure you hold it with one hand, and then just sort of smooth it out. And if it's black here, then it means it wasn't completely dry, but it looks like we were okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to pick up some color, and I think I'm going to go for my Highland Heather. I'm going to stamp here, and I'm doing it in this order because this is a little bit lighter color. And then I'm going to pick up some of my Bermuda Bay, and I find it easier to hold my stamp pad in my hand. And I'm just going to try and get the edges. So I'm just going to try and ink up the edges. You might get a little bit on your block, but that's okay. So I've got, I don't know if you can tell there in the camera, but I've got 2 colors on there. So I'm going to go one side here, stamp it straight down and straight up. And then while I still have it on there, I'm going to do it a second time, and I'm going to go over top of this one. Okay, now I need to clean. So my simple chamois comes in handy here again. Just clean it really quickly and do the same thing again. So you're getting 2 impressions out of 1. So I've inked it up with Highland Heather, and this is called Kissing. So now turn it around, do the same thing. So because I put the darker one here, I'm going to do the darker one again here, right over top. I don't have to be in exactly the same spot, and then the lighter impression here. And there's plenty of ink left for that lighter impression. Now, I could dry that like I did the StazOn, but what I'm going to do is pull in some clear embossing powder, and I'm just going to sprinkle that right over top. Because it stayed wet, we're going to be able to do some clear embossing on the top of this. So again, I'm going to use my number 1. If you use a number 2, so if you have one of these, it's great, use the number 1. If you have one that's higher intensity heat, and I'll turn this up to number 2 here right away, here's how you can try and avoid warping, okay? So just go in and move it out. Go in and move it out so that it's not pointed in the same place the whole time. It will take a little bit longer to heat because you're moving it around, but it will stop the warping. Okay, so I'm going to go to number 1. So now it's starting to change. Maybe you can see that it's changing. Okay, so we've created the iridescence on the wings of the dragonfly. Now you could also be holding this with a pair of tweezers, and that might have been the smarter thing to do, but I don't have mine. Well, they're over there. I'd need to use my right hand to get them, so next time. Okay, so I think I've got most of it. Just hold it around and make sure they're all shiny everywhere. You don't want to leave it on there too long because you can actually melt it right into the paper. Okay, so we've got those guys now. Okay, so we've got this. We've got our other pieces here. We've got our words. We're getting close. We're building it up. Now we're going to use our punch. Okay, so this Dragonflies Punch, this is why I said just have like a 2-inch piece of paper, because if you had a bigger piece, you're going to cut out that smaller one. I just want to cut out the big guy. So he is going to fit right over top. And I'm looking at the body of the dragonfly too, and I'm not so worried about the wings as much because I've got lots of color going there. Okay, so there he is, and then take the other one, do the same thing. We're not going to color in the body, we're just going to leave it. Okay, here we are. Okay, we need to do one more thing. We are going to just punch out one of those and one of those. I'm going to put one together, and then I've also got a couple here already to show you. Okay, so I have some of my wings, and I'm just going to give them just a soft little curve. And so what I'm doing, I'm not pulling it on it very hard. I'm holding it in one hand, using my bone folder again, this time just to give it a little bit of a curve out and maybe the wings up. Okay, I'm going to do that on both. Maybe up a little bit. Now, I am also going to put, I've cut one of my small dimensionals. So one of my very small dimensionals, and I'm going to pick it up with my take your pick tool. Well, if you won't stick, there we go. Take off that piece. And I'm going to put this right in the middle. And that's going to go right over top. Okay, and that's enough to stick it together so that it's going to hold. If it moves around a little bit, that's okay. And so I have one of those done already, and I have another two. So this one here is on Highland Heather. You can see it moving around. Oh, look at that. I've managed to do all that are the black one. That's okay. Okay, now it's just putting it together. So I'm going to glue this down right on top. Have you figured out which of the designs I'm making? So it is the one that is the it's your time to shine. Okay, so I'm going to put that down. Now I'm going to place these guys. I'm going to pull in that picture again. So if we're copying this, I can see, so I've got my stamping all over, and I can see that there are 3 different punched items on there. So I'm going to place one somewhere down there. One's going to probably come up from here, and where'd the other one go? The other guy probably is going to go over here. And we could have used small ones, but I sort of like these large ones. Okay, so we've got that, and then our words are going to go over top. So I'm going to glue those down with liquid glue, and I'm just going to do the bodies and more the body and the inside part of the wings. So let's put that guy there. So I'm putting mine so that it's extending beyond the white. Here's where you have a little bit of creative license. Same thing here. I'm being careful not to put it exactly on how I have something stamped underneath, because that's just too predictable. You never want to be predictable. Okay, and now we are going to need to have, whoops, did I put that down? Yeah, okay, I didn't put it down enough. I'm going to try and get this over top so we can still see a little bit of his head there. And then I'm going to glue it to the wings, but I'm going to need a dimensional on the bottom. So let me just pull in my dimensionals. Make sure I'm putting it on the right side. It needs to be here. I think I'll put 2 there actually. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the end because I don't need to put a dimensional here because then it won't sit level. Okay, so a little bit of glue there, and just sort of put that right over top. I'm eyeing it up here, keeping it level with, or trying anyway, to keep it level with up there. Okay, so there's the main part of the card, and we will put just a few little embellishments, and I've got the opal rounds here because I thought that they would go with the iridescence of the wings. We are going to put some, it doesn't really matter where they go, I don't think. If you want to be exact to how the picture is done, they put it in the center of the flowers, but we don't really have a center, so I'm going to put just the 3 on and not the flowers. Okay, so there is how you can take that card, and let me pull it in again so that you can see the card and see how we recreated it. Okay, so there's this card here, and then there's that card. So it's just basically stamping with a couple different colors. They have 3 different colors, and they would have stamped off just to get that nice light kind of look to it. And then just some punches over top. Okay, and these ones we just fancied up a little bit with a little bit of our vellum and creating an iridescent wing on the dragonfly. So there's one idea for you. Now let me give you a couple other ideas. This one here is showing the exact same idea, but I did it with the strawberries, and I did it in pastels. So we don't normally see strawberries in pastel colors. We normally see them in nice bright reds, like a real red or a poppy parade kind of red. This one I wanted to do it in the light colors. So my colors here are Petal Pink, Sahara Sand, and Soft Seafoam. And then I've also got the flowers punched out here because this is a builder punch where you create your picture with a couple different punches. And so that one there, I actually have 4 for you today, and you are going to need to pick which one is your favorite. This one here was just a lot more fun, and I did not stamp off because I wanted you to see what it's like if you don't stamp off. So this is a much bolder kind of card because I did not stamp, and also, although I changed colors, it's all in the same color family. So these are all greens, and I did this with, what did I use? I used Soft Seafoam again, and Soft Seafoam, Just Jade, and what was my other one? Oh, the succulent. So that one is the succulent, and then of course our real red here. So just a real quick Christmas card, and many of you have this stamp set already. This is the plaid, the perfectly plaid with the stamp set. And then I did one that does not have a stamped background. So this one here has designer series paper on it, and using the ice cream cone builder punch. So again, this is a builder punch. So we're creating our ice cream cone with a couple different steps. So this one I did stamp the bottom and then punched out the ice cream cone bottom. And then I used our ombre paper. So you can see that I have our ombre paper. It's got a really cool glimmer effect to it. And this background paper is our pattern party. So that's the pattern party paper. And one of them, I thought just it's almost a cloud sun kind of a look to it. So I thought that sort of went with the ice cream cone. So I need you to let me know which ones are your favorite. Now I can see actually that this is standing up a little bit. Can you see that? And it's because I took those wings. So I think I am going to have to glue down the wings here. Otherwise we're not going to have a card that lies flat. So I'm going to go in there. I'll show you how I'm doing that. So how I can fix that is I can just go in with a little bit of glue on the end of my Take Your Pick. So the Take Your Pick has actually 4 different tips to, well, 5 different tips if you consider the putty end. I most often leave this end out because I use it as my pokey tool, we'll call it, but there is a flat little spatula end. And so I'm going to take a little bit of glue and put it right onto the spatula. So just a tiny little bit. And I'm going to put it right in underneath the Highland Heather and press it down so that I can get the glue off. And then I'm going to press that down for just a little bit. And while I'm holding that down, it will set up. I love when you guys share. So if you can share this, share it on your own personal feeds, and it allows other people who are interested in paper crafting, who would love to see maybe a few different ideas, and who might like to see the catalog sort of deconstructed and how you can make something out of the catalog. Now, if you have a card that you would like me to try and figure out, let me know. You can send me an email at jo@designwithjo.ca, and I will take a peek at that card and see if I can figure it out and give you the steps for how to make it. So thank you everybody for joining me. I'm glad that you came. Please let everybody know that I'm doing these. I do take the video and I do edit it and take out some of the back and forth a little bit, but I put that up on my YouTube channel too. So you can always go back to it either here or on the YouTube channel, and you can get the measurements and you can get all the steps to make it yourself. Okay, thanks very much. Have a great day, and we will see you guys again probably for crafting, my on-command crafting, which is Tuesday night at 6:30. You just have to be a member of the Design with Jo VIP group to be able to see that. So thanks everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.